Just like the street lights lit this town, like a fire in a blaze, gotta burn it down. Can't be afraid to leave this out. We got this far, don't know how. I see danger in your eyes. They know we'll burn down the night. Coming just like the sunrise. You know that we're gonna let it away. Tonight, we're gonna let it away. Tonight, we're gonna let it away. Just like the sunrise, we're gonna let it away. Just like a spark that's breaking out. Can't make a stop, can't turn back now. We know that there's no room for doubt. No, we can't turn back now. I see danger in your eyes. They know we'll burn down the night. Only just like the sunrise. You know that we're gonna let it away. Tonight, we're gonna let it away. Tonight, we're gonna let it away. Just like the sunrise, we're gonna let it away.
Welcome in, everybody. Happy Friday the 13th to you. Hopefully you guys are having a lucky day, not an unlucky day, but welcome in, everybody. It is good to see you guys. Welcome in. We are going to be talking about Idaho tonight. Sorry, something on my mic there. But if you are new to our channel and you haven't been with us, welcome in. If you are a returning Titan coming in for another live, welcome back. But my name is Tanya. Nice to meet you if you are new, or you can call me Titanium Built or Titanium, whatever you want to call me. Just as long as it's something nice. That's all that matters, right? But anyways, don't forget to hit the like button. I know we all ask you to do that in the beginning of the lives, and it's important because it gets our videos into the algorithm. So if you guys hit the like and we have as many people in, you know, that's usually what works for us. So we'll go ahead and we'll get started because I do have a lot of stuff I want to show you guys tonight. So welcome into the mods. I saw Ashley was in here. Frenchie's in here. Dawn, welcome in, everybody. It's good to see you. I won't go through all the names tonight, but if anybody has something they important they needed to tell me, let me know at the bottom. Put the little fireworks in there. Hey, Ryan. Hey, Sailor George. Outlaw George. How you doing? And I'll put the comments up on the screen, even though, like I say, I don't know if you guys can even read those. Let me know in the chat if you can read the comments as they come through here in a minute on the screen. Sometimes it takes them a couple minutes. But yeah, happy Friday, the 13th. I didn't even realize it was the 13th. I mean, this morning I realized it, but it was like mid-morning. I was like, wait a minute, it's Friday and it's the 13th. So we should be watching scary movies right now, y'all. That's what we should be doing. If they wouldn't take my whole channel down for it, we would. I'm glad that you're feeling better. I'm glad that you're doing good. And it's good to see everybody. I think it's been a pretty decent day today. I don't think no bad luck over here. I mean, knock on wood, the night's not over. We still have time, but yeah, trying to think if I stubbed my toe or anything even today. I think I did do that, but I do that every day. No scary movies for you? Yeah, I don't really do scary movies too much anymore, but when I do watch movies, I do like them to be scary. Hey, Stephanie. I'm Stephanie. Hey, Lord Mama, welcome in. Well, it's good to see everybody. We will we'll start with the podcast again. I was going to do that actually next, but we'll start with that since it's older, and then that way we can get caught up to speed. I think that actually works better that way when we do it. I do have a lot of stuff I want to show you guys, though. I've got the whole timeline from when Brian got pulled over in August to, up into past the murders, documented on Google Maps. So we could go through all of that where he was traveling. And then I also have it in Word format. So the times and where he was seen. So we'll go over that as well. Also, we'll go over the touch DNA tonight and what the forensic expert weighs in. And it's Joseph Scott Morgan. It's only a couple minute video, but he weighs in on what he thinks. So we'll go over that towards the end. And then, yeah. So I think it'll be a good live. Kind of telling you guys what I'm going to do before I go over it. I don't know if you guys have noticed that. I let you know ahead of time. I shouldn't let you know. I should be I don't know. Be surprised. Be surprised. Oh, and I do have, hey, Homer, I do have a video coming out tomorrow morning at, I think it's 11:15. It is over the Idaho podcast. It's one of the last ones that we went to because we're almost caught up. So it'll be out there for you guys if you want to listen to just the podcast and nothing else. So, and that'll be tomorrow morning. So I will put up a, overlay. That way you guys have something to look at while we're watching the podcast. So it's not so, boring for everybody. And yeah, if you guys don't mind, share it on your platforms if you want to, and we will get started.
How the hell did his DNA end up on that sheath at that murder scene if it wasn't his sheath?
All we hear about are the pings. Brian Koberger, the alleged, was pinging everywhere.
It's a bad idea to have your cell phone with you when you commit a crime.
This isn't a whodunit, and I don't have to prove to you why he done it.
This is The Idaho Massacre, a production of KT Studios and iHeartRadio. Season 2, Episode 6, Pings and DNA Admissibility. I'm Courtney Armstrong, a producer at KT Studios with Stephanie Lydecker and Gabe Castillo. At the center of the prosecution's case against accused murderer Brian Koberger are records tied to his cell phone and DNA that allegedly places him at the scene of the crime. The defense has called foul on both areas of evidence.
Investigators now say they'd harvested DNA from an empty leather knife sheath. Police say that DNA matched DNA from Koberger's father, which they collected from trash outside the family's Pennsylvania home.
Does the government now have genealogy info that previously was controlled by individuals and private organizations? And how accurate is this database?
The genealogy sites that allows police to search public records of people who have opted in, saying, hey, if there's a murderer or rapist in my family, I don't mind if you use my DNA to try to find them.
Here's Stephanie.
We have to remember, DNA is a big ticket item for the prosecution. And just as a quick refresh, we know that, quote, a hit of Brian Koberger's DNA was found on a knife sheath left behind at the crime scene. And we also know that investigators connected that through familial DNA. Brian Koberger's parents' house was under surveillance in the days leading up to his arrest. His dad, we have to assume, tosses his trash in the garbage cans outside their home, and then investigators retrieve it. And from that trash, they're able to identify Dad's DNA and put that into a database. And boom, there's a familial match. Now, look, this has been highly debated, as some say that the search and seizure of Koberger's family trash is questionable.
In the course of researching this season, the team at KT Studios came across an article called How DNA and Cell Phone Evidence in Idaho Murders Complied with the Fourth Amendment. To get clarity on this pivotal information, I reached out to the article's author, Collie Stimson, who has singular expertise in both areas.
Hi, Courtney. It's Collie Stimson from the Heritage Foundation.
Collie, how are you?
I'm great.
Excellent. Your article it seemed just so on point with so many pertinent matters. I guess just to start, would you just let listeners know your name and your background?
Sure. My name is Collie Stimson. I'm a senior legal fellow and manager of the National Security Law Program at the Heritage Foundation. Prior to that, I served in the Navy JAG Corps, which is the lawyer corps of the Navy, and served as a prosecutor and defense lawyer. When I was a prosecutor in the Navy, I tried a bunch of violent crimes, including a case that involved DNA. It was one of the few cases that the Navy had used DNA in early on. This is a 92, 3, 4, 5 period of time. And I worked as a homicide prosecutor in Maryland. And I tried the first PCR case.
What's PCR?
So it's a type of testing of genetic material. So when you used to have blood testing, you're either A, B, or O, and those are broad categories of blood type. Then when we started using genetics, you had to have a large amount of genetic material, stuff left at a crime scene. But because the law is always behind technology, lags way behind it, the genetic labs were now using the next level, the next more sophisticated level, which required much less material, called PCR, polychromase reaction. By the way, when I was a Maryland homicide prosecutor, I was the head of attorney training in the office, which included training on how to use DNA in cases. And when I was an instructor at the Naval Justice School for 5 years, I taught the whole JAG Corps how to use forensic DNA. And of course, now we're so confident that we have 23andMe, or did, Ancestry.com and all the rest of it. And so tens of millions of people rely on that genetic material to find close and distant relatives all around the world.
You've been with DNA since the very, very beginning.
Well, I'm actually made of DNA like you. So, I think from the very beginning, but I've had the opportunity to work with it. And as a defense attorney, I fought against it like any good defense attorney, and tried to poke holes, not in the scientific reliability, because I think that's a losing battle, but in whether it was collected correctly, whether testing procedures were done correctly, whether there is an adulterated sample. That's really where the game is as a defense counsel.
I asked Collie how he thinks DNA and its collection will play out in this case during trial, as well as his general thoughts on the accused.
I mean, it's interesting. Look what he's studying. He's getting his PhD in criminal justice. I don't know what he's read, and I don't know what his course requirements are. If I was the prosecutor, I'd be pulling every book he ever had to read and every syllabus to find out, and look for things about alibi and forensic evidence. And I would want to get into the guy's head by seeing what he has studied and what he's writing. But I don't think that, for example, the questions about the way the evidence was collected at his parents' house back in Pennsylvania is an issue at all. I mean, once you discard something, it's not yours anymore. You've abandoned it. And as a Fourth Amendment principle, you've abandoned any Fourth Amendment standing to complain that, somebody picked up my cigarette butt that I tossed on the ground. Somebody rifled through the trash out in front of my house. Well, you gave it up. So you don't have a right to complain. And it's his parents' house. So he doesn't even live there anymore. He's an emancipated man. So he doesn't have standing to complain about his parents throwing stuff away in their house. So he has a double negative there. He had no standing if he threw it away himself, and he certainly doesn't have any standing if his parents threw it away.
Can I have you slow that down for 1 second? So what prompted you to write this article, about how the evidence complies with the Fourth Amendment, and what is the Fourth Amendment?
The Fourth Amendment is part of the original Bill of Rights, which were passed, a few years after the Constitution was signed and ratified by the states. And it essentially, insofar as this is related, says that the government may not engage in unreasonable searches and seizures of your persons, places, or things or papers. All right. And so for the government to get into your stuff, to see your stuff, typically they, at the very least, have to have probable cause to believe that you are the person who committed a crime, and that if they look into your stuff by getting a warrant that's very specific as to location and what they're looking for, signed by a judge, a neutral detached magistrate, the government can then look into gut into your house, look in the drawer, look in the closet for the knife, the gun, the rope, whatever you used for a crime. I was very interested in the development of Fourth Amendment law through the Supreme Court, because there was a case that the court had recently come down with called Carpenter against the United States, in a throwaway line that Justice Gorsuch said, where he, I think, made a mistake, suggesting that people would have a Fourth Amendment right to genetic material that is on third-party genetics hosting sites. If I spit into a vial and give it to Ancestry.com, and I have a contract with them to do so, I pay them a fee, they send me and only me my results back. If I then want to keep it private, that's it. No one gets to see what the results are. But if I want to take the extraordinary step of then providing that material, those test results, to a third-party genetics website, it's like putting it in the trash can. It's like hanging it outside my front porch for everyone to see, because you sign a contract that says this is out there for the world to see, because I want the world to see who I'm related to so they can see that they're related to me. And so when this case came along, I was reading the articles about it, and I thought, they're clearly clueless about this, because they were suggesting, oh, it's a violation of his Fourth Amendment right because they went through the trash. Oh, it's a violation of this. So I was like, oh, slow down, everybody. And the Kohlberger case is poking along now, and it's getting closer to trial time, and more people are sort of interested in the mechanics of the trial. But I suspect the closer we get to trial, people will be more interested in the DNA and the difference between the SNP DNA genetics testing piece, which they did for the trash, and then the regular forensic testing for admissibility into court. And so, the closer we get to trial and the more that gets litigated, I'm sure people want to know in English what all that means.
Yeah. And is there a way to break those things down?
There's two types of forensic tests. What forensic means is used for criminal court. So just sort of file that away. Anytime you hear forensic and then a word after it, it means for criminal trial. So forensic DNA profiles, typically you find genetic material at a crime scene. You don't know who did it. You post it into the FBI's DNA database looking for a hit. And in the best case scenario, somebody's already provided their DNA because they're law enforcement or military or they're prior criminal and they've taken their DNA. You get a hit, and then you test, the chances of it being somebody else's DNA, and then you come up with a result. Here, when they found the sheath that held the knife that the subject used to slay the poor college kids, they tested the sheath and they found genetic material. That probably means epithelial cells that are found, believe it or not, in the sweat that comes off your fingertip. Okay. So everything you're touching, you're leaving a little part of your DNA on it. I mean, you can't even see it. All right. So whoever the dude or dudette is that killed these people left a sheath there. They test the sheath, and they were smart, because instead of just using one test and hoping that they'd get a random hit through the FBI DNA database called CODIS, CODIS, they also had a brain, because CODIS only tests, and I don't want to use scientific jargon, but let's just say 5 or 6 or 7, just a handful of what are called genetic markers. So you've seen the corkscrew DNA nucleotide, the thing that looks like a winding staircase.
Back in 7th grade.
Right. And so imagine that as that corkscrew is going down and down and down, there's stairs. It tests 6 or 7 or 8 stairs at different points in the DNA corkscrew. SNPs is different. SNPs it's an acronym. It stands for single nucleotide polymorphism. And so imagine what they're doing there is they're looking at 30 or 40 or 50 of those stairs. And that's just to see what variations there are in sequences on somebody else's double helix, to see if there's a relationship between the person who left the DNA and somebody else. It's not used forensically in court. It's just, think of it as the Ancestry.com part of genetic testing. And so they tested, in my opinion, it hasn't been made public yet, they clearly tested the standard forensic testing, the standard DNA testing, probably PCR. And then they did SNP testing, most likely, because when they connected the dots between his cell phone and his parents' location, and he was registered at his parents' house, etc., and they went to the trash and got the parents' trash and tested some of the trash, Kohlberger had been visiting his mommy and daddy, and sure enough, on the trash, they find, through SNP technology, a person who was 99.9999%, think of it as chance of being his dad. So in other words, it's his dad. It's the dad of the person who left the genetic material on the sheath. So if you remember I Love Lucy, when Ricky Ricardo said, Lucy, you got some splaining to do, Kohlberger doesn't have to do any splaining because he's the defendant. He has a right to remain silent. But it looks really bad for him, because how the hell did his DNA end up on that sheath in that bedroom at that murder scene if it wasn't his sheath? And if it was his sheath, why was it there? And he doesn't have to say anything. He can stand on his right to remain silent, and that remains his right throughout the trial.
Hold up.
Just going back to what you said.
Okay. So I just want to let this be known. The Lucy, you got some explaining to do is it's a well-known catchphrase that everyone says, but according to some sources that were actually on the show, it was never spoken by Ricky Ricardo. It was more of like a parody of his character. Like when people dress up like him, they would say it. I don't know if y'all ever watched I Love Lucy, but your girl did growing up. I love them old shows. They were my favorite.
How you did training in the prosecutor's office and then also in JAG. Was a lot of
That's what
acceptance of DNA as something reliable? Was it just teaching the presentation and helping people understand it on a really basic level so it didn't seem like magic and so people could understand?
Well, it's a complicated question with a somewhat easy answer. You don't have to become a genetics expert as a prosecutor or defense counsel or judge to use DNA as a forensic matter in a criminal trial. But what you have to do to be good at either using it for or against your case is to understand collection protocols, testing procedures and protocols, areas where samples can get mixed up with other samples. And so just like with any other forensic techniques that are used, you have to get good at understanding the basics of the science and then get really good at understanding how you get from A to Z, getting into court, and then either defending its use or poking holes at its reliability. That's where the lion's share of the work is done these days.
Let's stop here for a break. We'll be back in a moment. After getting a better understanding of the DNA in this case, we decided to dig a little deeper into the technology of the cell towers. Here's Stephanie.
There has been so much back and forth over the phone pings because, again, this is going to be a big ticket item. It sounds like for sure the accused Bryan Kohberger was out and about a whole lot that fateful morning, both before and after the murders. Investigators claim that they have phone pings that place Kohberger near the house the morning of the murders. And Kohberger's defense team is arguing that he was nowhere near the house when the murders happened. What is so interesting here is that the same data that the prosecution is going to use to place Kohberger at the scene is the exact same data that the defense is going to use to dispute that.
I reached out to Scott Green, founder of Great Scott Enterprises. For nearly 40 years, he's been collecting, analyzing, and helping to explain complex electronic evidence.
I collect the data, I analyze the data, I make sense of the data, and then I present the data in court, either to a jury or to the judge.
What we wanted to speak with you about is the cell phone data. And all we hear about are the pings. Bryan Kohberger, the alleged, was pinging everywhere. Can you please explain what are cell phone pings or signals and how specific are they?
So a ping, in the way it's been used in the media, and I read the articles with regards to cell phones and towers, is a connection between a cell phone and a tower. Those connections fall into three different categories generally. They are a phone call that would ping off a tower or connect to a tower, and they're referred to as pings. So they occur when somebody makes a phone call, they occur when somebody uses data, and they occur when somebody sends a standard SMS or text message. As far as how specific a ping is, the tower knows the direction that the cell phone is from the tower. So what you get out of the ping and out of the cell phone carrier is a direction from the tower, generally in a pie-shaped area that shows the direction from the tower that the cell phone is. And when you have them moving through space and time, you can get an idea as to where the cell phone is going and how fast it's moving and some things like that. You get some estimates out of that. But you don't get an exact position out of the cell phone carrier information.
What I understood as you described it was that the pings happen when something active is occurring, a call, a text, or using data. Do these pings also happen passively? I have my phone here right now. Is this pinging?
Cell phones and towers are communicating most of the time, usually because there's data transactions between a cell phone and a tower. That could be updates, it could be email getting updated, or inbound or outbound data of some sort.
Understood. So in this case, the accused Kohberger wouldn't have had to have been actively on his phone to ping. It could be something in the background. Is that correct?
It could be something in the background that is generating those pings. True.
I know you said direction and potential trajectory. And does the radius depend upon how far apart the towers are? So basically, could they spot me in my car within a 2-block radius, or is it a 2-mile radius?
So that's a great question. In the country, outside of cities, in rural areas, the cell phones transmit a much longer distance than they do inside of cities. So it depends where you are as far as how far a cell tower will transmit.
In Moscow, Idaho, it's not in the country. It is in no way in a big city, but there's 2 colleges right nearby, because I would imagine colleges would need more power.
So here's an interesting thing. I drove past the University of Arizona yesterday, and one of the things that I noticed is that there are a tremendous number of 5G towers around the university. In the country where the accused was driving, there's probably a lot fewer. What's the distance between those 2 locations? Somebody said 10 minutes.
10 miles.
About 10 miles. So in the country, you're going to find that cell phone towers can be miles apart and cover miles in both directions from a cell phone tower. They vary in direction based upon geography and where people are and how the cell phone carrier wants to cover the area.
This isn't specifically a technical question, so we can skip over it if you want, but the accused is a criminology PhD student. Is it surprising to you that if what's alleged is true, that he had his phone on him the whole time? I mean, even I know that my phone will leave a footprint.
It is surprising to me that someone with that background would have their phone with them. Agreed. I would think somebody who has some intelligence about criminal backgrounds and criminology would probably at that level at least know that it's a bad idea to have your cell phone with you when you commit a crime.
Yeah, it's just so incongruous. As a PhD candidate, Kohberger was also a teacher's assistant at Pullman, Washington State University. And we spoke with one of his students, and she's not wrong. That's one of the things that gives her pause on the alleged guilt is it's 101 to not do that. How frequently do pings update? Is it a standard amount of time? Does it depend situationally?
Wow, it depends. Pings get updated differently based upon which one of those 3 items is going on. You're going to see every time there is a text message sent, you can see a connection to a tower. And every time a cell phone call is initiated, or the cell phone changes towers, or the call ends, one of those 3 things when it's a phone call, you'll see a different tower recorded by the cell phone carrier. Does that make sense?
It does make sense. As a real example here, a white sedan that the prosecution alleges is Kohberger's It was seen passing by the victim's residence at 3:29, that same white vehicle at 4:04, and at 4:20 is seen leaving the area at high speed. Can officials attempt to corroborate, we see the car and then go and check the tower to see if that lines up?
So are you asking me if the law enforcement at the time can go do that, or look back in history?
Go back in history. As a layman, I would want to think, oh, can I corroborate that with cell tower information?
You can corroborate the location of the cell phone. If it was in the car, you would be able to say, okay, it's in the car and it's moving, or it's in the car and stationary, if the cell phone is on and communicating with the tower. Because in this case, we see that the cell phone is connected at his home at 2:42 a.m., right? And then at 2:47, so 5 minutes later, it's moving and then gets turned off. And then it gets turned back on 4:48 south of Moscow, Idaho on State Highway 95. In between that, if I understand the
Kohlberger, unfortunately, he doesn't have a GPS in his car or a navigation system, even though, I mean, like it must just be a standard model because the year, you know, I'm dealing with that right now, and I'm dealing with that with the car situation too. But no, so his car didn't have a navigation system. When he was pulled over by the officers in Indiana, you could see his father had his phone on his lap, and you could see the maps app was open. You could see like the app, and then you could see his whole front like dashboard. And there's no screen, there's no buttons for anything like that. There's no, I don't even think it has a CD player up in there. It's pretty old. I mean, it's not an old car. It's just I guess it is an older car. But I mean, I think it's just because it was so standard. It came so standard. I mean, I'd be surprised if it didn't have crank windows in it. I had a car that had crank windows once. I love that car.
timeline and what's listed here, the cell phone is off. So it's not talking to the towers at all. Interestingly, the car is a Kia, right?
It's a Hyundai Elantra.
A Hyundai Elantra. Okay, same company. Hyundai and Kia are the same company. So I wonder if they took that car apart and looked for cell phone signals coming out of that, because a lot of cars nowadays have cell phones built into them and they're constantly communicating.
Without knowing the specifics of Kohlberger's car, was it common for cars to be emitting signals?
A lot of cars in that time frame were starting to have cell phones built into them. One of the things that happens in our world is that a lot of devices are following us around. And when those devices connect to things, they get recorded. One of the things that has happened in our world, and you'll notice this on Google Maps, you'll notice this in other things that are used to track us through space and time. Wi-Fi signals have been collected by Google as part of what they did when they were mapping our world. And so you will see when you are navigating your car and you turn on Google Maps, it will say, if you want to have a better navigation experience or something along those lines, turn on Wi-Fi. And the reason why it uses that is now it's seeing Wi-Fi connections that are from homes that it passes by or businesses that it passes by. And it adds that to the mix. Not only is GPS very accurate, but it adds the Wi-Fi signal to the mix to track the vehicle or the phone and display the map.
If a phone, quote, stops reporting to the network, does that mean for 100% that the phone was turned off, or could there be another explanation?
If a phone stops talking to the network, it could be a host of things. It could be a distance problem out in the forest somewhere, under a rock or inside a cave or something like that. However, for the most part, a cell phone not communicating with a tower is generally evidence that the cell phone is turned off or in airplane mode.
Here is my last two questions that I have. And I took an Uber the other day, and I was at the back of a grocery store. And my Uber driver called me and he said, I need you to come to the front of the store. That's where I'm going to be. So, and I opened my Uber and I could see myself walking just from the front to the back of one store. Okay, why do we have that level of specificity for an Uber, but not here?
So a lot of apps, navigation apps, Uber, Lyft, use GPS data, which is a much more accurate signal to place you at a particular place. GPS is much more accurate than these cell phone pings, much more accurate.
Why is GPS much more accurate than cell phone pings?
Cell phone pings will give you an area, this pie-shaped area where the cell phone is located. GPS data can narrow that down to within feet. So a cell phone sector is what they're technically called, a pie-shaped area, could be many square miles. A GPS location is going to generally be within feet.
And I guess it is that GPS is that specific because that's its intention, whereas cell phone towers are intended to allow our phones
to communicate.
Right, but not to track us.
So cell phone towers, and they're broken up into sectors so that the number of connections can be managed. GPS data is more specific so that you can navigate. You can be in a particular place and say, I want to go to this other place, and it's going to navigate you generally within feet.
Looking forward to trial. So the defense and prosecution, to our knowledge, they have, to the public knowledge, there is the same data exists. How are two different experts going to read the same information and from there draw different conclusions?
Okay, so a little piece of this that you can look at. One is ZX and the other is Cellhawk. Those are two different products that both map where a cell phone is. As far as this guy, who's their cell phone expert?
Cy Ray is the founder of ZX Corporation.
Yeah. And he's the guy that's going to testify, we think?
Yes, the defense has said he will testify to corroborate Kohberger's alibi and say that he was not at the residence because he was too far south.
We have 2 hours roughly between the cell phone being connected in his home and the cell phone being connected south of Moscow, Idaho. It's difficult for an expert to say that the phone wasn't somewhere if it was off. So we have two data points that are 2 hours apart. It's difficult for any expert in either direction, prosecution or defense, to prove or disprove where that cell phone is in those 2 hours. How are you going to prove that? You can't prove a negative. You can't. So they could say, yeah, it's possible that between 2:47 and 4:48 in the morning that he made it over to this home and murdered people, but that's a lot of time in between, a lot of time. I don't see the defense and prosecution being very far apart in their testimony because they are looking at the same data. And the lack of data between 2:47 and 4:48 is just a lack of data. You're going to be difficult for either side to prove anything in that time frame.
It's so obvious what you said, and I don't know how it hadn't occurred. Of course, there's a dearth. There is no information.
Dearth is a perfect word to use. There's nothing. There's nothing. So the timeline shows that there is no data from the cell phone carrier between 2:47 and 4:48 in the morning.
How do you think the cell phone evidence will be received by a jury, or how do you feel cell phone evidence in general is received by juries?
As a person who presents cell phone evidence all the time, younger juries are very receptive to cell phone evidence. They use their phones all the time. They know that they're a computer they carry around in their pocket or on their hip or in their purse. There certainly can be older members of the jury that have a harder time understanding that. Sometimes I run into older judges that have a hard time understanding what that really means.
Let's stop here for another break. We'll be back in a moment. I continued my conversation with Collie Stimson about how he predicts the cell phone data and DNA evidence will be presented at court, beginning with the process from finding DNA at a crime scene to tying it to a potential murder suspect, and how that ultimately is presented during trial.
In some murder cases, the motive is dead clear, no pun intended. He wanted her, she didn't want him, she rejected him, we get that. Two drug dealers go at each other over turf, one kills the other, we get that. These are harder cases because here's a dude who lives in a different state. He had no prior relationship that we know of with any one of these people. The government doesn't have to prove motive, but everyone in the courtroom sitting there, and I can tell you I've been there. Why did he do this? And I want to state to you right here and now, I don't have to prove motive. Motive is not an element of any of these crimes. And so when my colleague stands up on the defense and suggests what's the motive, that's an interesting question, but we're not here to resolve that. We're here to resolve whether he committed this crime and whether I've proven beyond a reasonable doubt each and every element of the offense to which he's been charged. This isn't a whodunit. And I don't have to prove to you why he done it.
That's so interesting because you hear in so many cases motive, but that's not.
It's never an element. It's never an element. It's the smoke cloud that's drifting around the courtroom in every case like this. It's just hanging in the air. And every time I was a defense counsel, it was motive. They haven't proved motive. I don't know why they haven't proved motive. That's because clearly there wasn't a motive. And I'm playing the other game. You haven't heard 1 ounce of evidence against my client about why he would do something. Why would an upstanding PhD candidate who has everything in front of him do something like this? It's absurd. And that's the kind of argument you're going to hear.
But it's not material.
It's not an element of the offense. Murders are driven by love, lust, power, or money. Those are the big four. And then since I'm a Shakespearean, I would add greed, because greed is one of them as well. I watched the proceedings in this for just a few minutes today in preparation to chat with you. And it seemed like the prosecutor's sort of a no-nonsense older fella who's just doing his job. And it seems like this public defender is, doing what she can with a really tough case. And clearly, at this point, Kohlberger still wants his trial. I wouldn't be surprised if he changes his mind. I would not be surprised if he changes his mind, because I would suspect behind the scenes, this public defender is going to the prosecutor and, okay, what can we do here? My guy's willing to do this, plead to this if you're willing to cap confinement at this. He wants to be able to see, sunshine before he's dead. And if I was the government, depending on the strength of the evidence, and I don't know the evidence, nor do you, we only know what we've read, I might say, yeah, I'm willing to discuss, in theory, a plea. Of course, the families are going to have a say in that, depending on what the state victim rights statute says. There's a lot of green between the ball and the cup here. Oftentimes you take your best shot during pretrial motions when you're the defense counsel, and depending on how they turn out, then you can go back to your client and go, look, we're 0 for 5. It's looking real bad for you. More than happy to defend you. I'm a fighter. I don't know what the state law allows for. But in the federal system and in some states, you get a break on sentencing if you plead guilty. And the opposite is true. If you go to trial, the judge, one of the factors is that you not getting punished for going to trial, but you don't get a break for pleading guilty.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah. They can't increase the punishment because you exercised your right to have a trial. But if you plead guilty, they can give you a break for pleading guilty and not expending court time.
Right. Because, this case, if what I read just the other day is accurate, it's already up over $3 million.
Which is a drop in the bucket for a big jurisdiction. But for a little tiny jurisdiction like where they are, they have never seen a case like this in the history of that county. And so for a little county like this, that doesn't have a lot of crime, to have a big case like this with cell site location information and DNA and all the rest of it with national attention, they're going to go through some money. But, justice shouldn't have a cost to it. The thing about murder cases is somebody did it. Somebody did it. And justice requires accountability in a murder case. And it's the ultimate case because in a situation like this, where they were perfectly innocent, helpless, young people with their whole lives in front of them, but for victims who are children and babies, these are the most sympathetic types of victims. And so there is no reason for the government to give the defendant an inch if they have a solid case.
I mean, people have been collecting DNA for a long time. So it would seem like unless you're really messing up on the collection, then if your DNA is on the sheath, guess what? You're probably there. How does the defense counter this?
There can be other innocent explanations for the presence of a person's DNA at a crime scene other than the fact that they're the perp. And so you could, I have asked myself, and I have seen in my courtrooms when I was a judge or a prosecutor, defense counsel saying, well, okay, you're saying that the defendant's DNA was found in this barracks room in the Navy. Yes, it was. And isn't it the fact that these study groups study in their rooms? Yes, it is. So you can't disprove that my client, the defendant, wasn't in the victim's room as part of a study group, can you? Well, no, I can't, not from a forensic standpoint. So you're trying to create reasonable doubt, which is your job as the defense counsel. And there are oftentimes innocent explanations for the presence of someone's DNA at a crime scene. Now, are there innocent explanations for the DNA of Brian Kohlberger found on the knife sheath, on the bloody bed sheets of an apartment in a different state? I have a very, very, very hard time wrapping my head around how you create reasonable doubt to explain the presence of his DNA at a murder scene in a different state in a kid's apartment. So that's a big hurdle for this defense counsel. And of course, so instead of attacking that, they're going after the cell site location information. And they're putting up an alibi defense. If you have an alibi defense, you're required to notify the government of your alibi within a certain period of time before the trial, and then give specifics of what your alibi is, because the government can then try to go poke holes and find out if there's any holes in your alibi defense. And we'll see how the defense plays out, but it seems as if they've created enough wiggle room in this loosey-goosey alibi defense that puts him driving around at random places at random times in the middle of the night in the general location of the crime. But of course, I'm sure their cell site location person is going to say, well, he wasn't exactly at the place. But the problem is this guy had been to the crime scene multiple times, according to the cell site location information. And in all the other times he was there, he didn't turn his cell phone off. And yet, just coincidentally, on the night of the murder, his cell phone turns off for a period of when the murders were said to have happened, and then it turns back on as he's heading back to his college. It just doesn't look good for him. Oftentimes, in a case where you have the defendant's DNA at the scene of a crime where there's no prior relationship between the victim and the defendant, and they're complete strangers, and it's found in a very, very inconvenient place for the defendant, they end up pleading guilty. Because when you're the defense counsel and you get that information and you understand what it means, you finally have the come to Jesus talk with your client, say, game's up. You have a right to a trial. Of course, I'll defend you and I'll give you a great defense. Notice I didn't ask you whether you did it or not. So you can take the stand, say whatever you want. However, from my experience, there is no reasonable explanation of why your DNA is there, except for the fact that you did it.
Do you think that Ann Taylor's had this come to Jesus moment with Kohlberger yet? I mean, she should. If he's talking like he's talking, I mean, the DNA is there. It's been 2.5 years. They know what the state pretty much has at this point. They've gotten the discovery. If they haven't went through it, Ann needs to hire some people to do that. But let me know what you guys think. I think she knows that she no, I think she knows. But if I was a defense attorney, I'd be asking. I would just ask. I would straight up the first meeting we had, I would have to know. I mean, lie to me, I guess. And he could have done that. But I mean, I would just have to know. That way, I feel like I would have a better strategy that way. Because I would know, okay, he did it. And this is what we got against us. How am I going to, get this out of court? That's the only thing that she has is getting the DNA thrown out. And I don't think she's going to get that.
I don't think the government's going to have a hard time proving beyond a reasonable doubt that you did it. And most defendants, who are sitting in that situation, will be like, okay, and so they try to get the best deal they can.
I mean, it seems like they're going full bore.
The problem is that, of course, go on the record, this guy's presumed innocent. unless proven guilty beyond a reasonable doubt by legal and competent evidence. He enjoys that presumption of innocence through the entire trial. That said, the evidence is overwhelming, as we've seen it to this date, for guilt. Because not only do you have the police stopping of the car and the cell site location information of him, what looks to be scouting out the crime scenes, but you have people who were alive, who he didn't kill, who said a person looked like this, and they picked him out. And then you have his DNA, and then you have the cell site location information on the night of, and you have him turning the cell phone off. Any two of those pieces of evidence alone would get you close to beyond a reasonable doubt. I think the DNA alone gets him to beyond a reasonable doubt. But when you have all the other circumstantial and direct evidence, I see this case as what's called a slow plea. A slow plea is he's just guilty. Everyone knows he's guilty, but he has a constitutional right to demand his trial, and he's going forward with the trial. And of course, he's presumed innocent. I'll say that again. But to me, this looks like a slow plea and a guy who's just not willing to accept responsibility for his actions. Maybe he'll be acquitted. I don't know. But it looks like a slow plea to me. And so this will be a battle of the experts on the cell site location information. That, the government will say he went from 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. He turned it off between here, and that puts him at the house on or around the time of the murder. And the defense will come up and say, yeah, we can't dispute that he was there, but that could mean he was way over here in this bubble. If I was the government, I'd say, okay, all right, let's just pretend that everything the defense expert said is true, and let's just throw out the cell site location information. Here's all the other evidence that points out that he's guilty beyond a reasonable doubt. In fact, let's take 4 other pieces of evidence off. He's still guilty. Let's take 9 pieces of evidence off. He's still guilty. So I wouldn't play into that. I'd fight it hard, and then I would just talk about, is that reasonable? Because that's not reasonable.
More on that next time. For more information on the case and relevant photos, follow us on Instagram at KT_studios. The Idaho Massacre is produced by Stephanie Leidiger.
Okay, sorry, I had to let the cat out. He wouldn't go. I have to get the picture down, but I got to find it first. Let me make sure that I'm big. That way. Yeah, there we go. My dogs are snoring. Is that you? Change Louise. Yeah, that's her. I got both of them in here. I just didn't know which one it was. It's the gray one. Look at her back there. She's like living the life, right? Yeah, cheesecake. You can't come in here and say, sorry, I'm late. I'm making a cheesecake and we can't even have any. Now, I'll send my address. You just send me the cheesecake. If it's bad, it'll be fine. That just reminded me of that girl with the that had the pink sauce. She sold it to everybody, and it like came to their house, and it was like combusting years ago. I don't know why that did, but that reminded me of that. I don't think that your cheesecake would bust open like that, though. But that was the podcast. So these podcasts are a little bit older. I can't wait until we get to so I want to go through 2 different podcasts with you guys. I want to go through this one, and we're almost done with this one, but I want to go through, I think it's called the King Road Killings, but it's really good. It's ABC, I think, does it. I think it's ABC. Hey, Felicia. So, we'll do that podcast. And then I think in between, or not in between, actually, we'll probably just start on that one because we have the book coming out. And then I want to stream the, before I forget, the Idaho 4 docuseries that's coming out on Prime Video, but I'm going to have to do that under the Discord. So I'll have that set up hopefully by the end of this weekend. And the show doesn't start until the 11th, I think, of July. And it's a docuseries, so it's a series. So there's more than one. I don't know how many they have, but yeah. They are good, aren't they, Samantha? I like listening to them. I like going back and re-listening to them, and then I can just base my other content around it. Sometimes it gets a little difficult. But if you guys saw the amount of tabs that I have open, I should show you all. I don't know if I can show you my whole screen. But I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 windows with a minimum of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 tabs in each one. What am I doing with my life? Going down rabbit holes by myself? because I will go through, like, I'll go start getting ready for the live, and I'll go down this little rabbit hole of such, and then I'll have like little things ready for you guys to like look at visuals and stuff, and then I'll switch up the live. That's what I did today, because I had so much. I was like, man, if I play all this tonight, or if we did all of it, we would be on here for hours on end. So we probably will still be on here for hours on end. All before the 911 call. Thanks, Scalmachi. Scalmachi, if that's what it's called. And that's how your name is. Oh, look at you. You even tagged everybody. That's so sweet. I love when people tag people in the chat. I can do that, I think, on the computer. Maybe I think I could do it up here, actually. Oh, look at that. I just tagged Ashley Higgins. Look at that. I just put Ashley Higgins. That's all I did. But I could do it over here if I'm in like the studio, back studio. I chat with you guys. It's weird. I don't know if other creators do this, but I chat with you in my StreamYard. I don't know if I'm doing it backwards. I could be doing it all wrong this whole time. But you know, that's fine. We'll get there. Okay, so if you see the little cop guy right here, this is the one we're going to be talking about. So basically, off to the side here is all the coordinates, and we're just going to kind of go through them. They were in order. I don't like a couple of these weren't in order. I think I put them in order. I got them in order. But if not, we'll have to just see. So basically, if you go to this 3 dots here, I didn't know this. You can like select this and you can fly to like whatever location that you put in here, like the location down at the bottom, like right here, the coordinates. Thought that was pretty interesting because it's going to come in handy. But this is where Brian Kohlberger was detained. I can even go like shoot out a little bit so you could see where he was detained. But he was detained at a traffic stop in Moscow, Idaho. And it was on Farm Road and Pullman Highway, driving a 2015 Hyundai Elantra license plate, PA, and it gives the license plate. He provided his cell phone number as the 8458 number with carrier AT&T. The defendant is also given a citation according to Idaho iCourt portal for not wearing a seatbelt. So looks like he might have been leaving town. Okay, so we'll go to this one, and then we're going to go like fly 2. So if you guys get dizzy, sorry, don't get dizzy. I get dizzy when I watch this. So if you guys are not good with like, you know, movement, this might not be the part of the stream for you. But on on September 13th. Okay, that's wrong. No, that's right. Okay. I don't know why it says 9:13. So between the hours of 4 a.m. and 4:30, Kaylee Gonzalez, Madison Mogan, Ethan Chapin, and Xander Kernodle, and surviving roommates DM and BF, identified as such in court documents, are presumed to be Dylan Mortensen and Bethany Funk, 2 additional roommates known to live in the house the murders took place in. The address is 1122 King Road, and as you can see there, there's nothing there anymore for us to look at. I'm just going to keep flying to these. I think this is where the traffic stop was. Oh no, this is the campus parking lot. So on 10/14, Brian Kohlberger is detained as part of a traffic stop by WSU police officer. In the campus parking lot, he is driving a 2015 Hyundai Elantra, the same license plate with the Pennsylvania tags. And once it's like when they're driving, it gets better because they're not going as far. Like the movements aren't going as far. So Ethan Chapin and Xana Kernodle, this is on 11/20 or 11/12. I'm sorry. I don't know why I was saying that. 11/12/2022 at 9 p.m. Ethan Chapin and Xander Kernodle arrive at the Sigma Chi House on the University of Idaho campus at 735 Nerez Prez Drive. I wonder if this will like take us down. Okay, it will. So same 11/12 at 10 p.m. Kaylee Gonzalez and Madison Mogan, they entered the Corner Club at 202 North Main Street in Moscow. And they were seen by video footage. Man, she's snoring loud back here. So 11:13 at 1:30 a.m. to 1:53 a.m. Kaylee, that's when Kaylee and Maddie, they went to, they left the corner club and they went to the grub truck. And that is at 318 South Main Street. And it's in downtown Moscow. Super. It took us there, but oh, there it is. Okay. The little drink and hamburger. I couldn't see it because it's white. So then at 1:45 a.m., Chapin and Kernodle returned to 1122 King Road. And then this is at 3:02 a.m. The defendant's vehicle is allegedly observed by video camera on State Route 270 between Pullman, Washington, and Moscow, Idaho, by video cameras stationed at Floyd's Cannabis Company. I guess that's where Floyd's is. And then at 3:28 a.m., the defendant's vehicle is allegedly observed by video camera traveling westbound along Steiner Avenue at Idaho State Highway 95 in Moscow. You see his little blue car there. I believe this to be the same footage being relied upon in the state's recent documents that originated from Sunset Mart on 1311 South Main Street in Moscow. I think this is... do I do this? Maybe I do that. Maybe I don't. Okay. So then they pick them up again. The defendant's vehicle is allegedly observed by video camera entering the King Road residence area for the first time. The address of the video camera is 1320 Linda Lane, according to state's documents. I thought we went there. Yeah, we did. Okay. I don't know why it says possible routes, but it won't let me go down any. Okay. So at 3:30 a.m., the defendant's vehicle is allegedly observed by video camera around the King Road residence via the camera located at 1330 Linda Lane. According to state documents, reviewing the video footage from 1330 Linda Lane, there is 3 specific moments where a vehicle is traveling west from Queen Road and turns right past the entrance of the Queen Road apartments. If you look specifically at the vehicle's windows just before and after it passes the white post, all 3 appear to be the same vehicle and more specifically a white Hyundai Elantra. The time from the defendant's vehicle sighting on the 1320 Linda Lane camera to the 3:30 a.m. footage of the vehicle on the 1330 Linda Lane footage also seems to line up, being 1 minute apart. Guess we don't have to go anywhere. So it says here the defendant's vehicle is allegedly observed by video camera, again, around the King Road residence via the camera located at 1330 Linda Lane, according to state documents. Reviewing the video footage from 1330 Linda Lane, there is 3 specific moments. I think we just read this part, but I'll read it again. Where a vehicle is traveling west from Queen Road and turns right past the entrance of the Queen Road apartments. If you look specifically at the vehicle's windows, I did just read this, just before and after it passes the white post, all 3 appear to be the same vehicle, and more specifically a white Hyundai Elantra. I don't know why they put that in twice, but they did. Oh, it's because it's all over here. These little vehicles over here. Oh, it just keeps going back over to the Linda Lane camera. So, okay. Okay. So then at 4:05 a.m., the defendant's vehicle is allegedly observed by video camera entering the King Road residence area. There are 2 events worth noting, and both appear to be the same car, a white Hyundai Elantra. Different from the other 4 times the defendant's car is seen, this time he performs a U-turn and goes back the way he came. So then the defendant's vehicle is allegedly observed by video camera entering the King Road residence area. There are two events worth noting, and both appear to be the same car, a white Hyundai Elantra. So same vehicles coming in. So then at 4:21, it's going to be right here. If I go down. Oh, it just took me back up. Okay. The defendant's vehicle is allegedly observed by video camera departing the King Road residence area at a high rate of speed. We saw that on the Dateline episode as well. Hey, Sirius. Hey, Sergeant Friday. So it says, departing the King Road residence area at a high rate of speed. Reviewing the footage, I believe the camera at 1330 Linda Lane is only picking up the audio of the vehicle driving away at around 4:21 a.m., while the camera at 1320 does appear to show a car driving at a high rate of speed at around 4:21 and 49 seconds. I think these are just possible routes. Okay, so then at 4:48 a.m., it says the defendant's cell phone is reactivated, pinging cell towers in the vicinity of State Highway 95 south of Moscow, Idaho, near Blaine, Idaho, north of Genesee. I don't know what this one is, so we're just going to fly there. Okay, so Koberger's cell phone turns back on. Sorry, I don't mean to make you guys dizzy. So then at 5:26, they have Brian Koberger's vehicle again. Okay. So let's see if we can do it this way. That'll let us. Okay. So this would be the route that he would have taken, like, back home. I'm just kind of just going with whatever this tells me to go to, but you can't turn right there. So I don't know why it's saying turn right. You can turn left. I guess it's there, right? I don't know. Okay. This is like some back roads stuff right here. But then again, I grew up in the country, so I'm used to all this stuff. This is the route length, 17 miles. So then it shows you there. Okay. So at 5:26 a.m., the defendant's vehicle is allegedly observed traveling northbound on Johnson Road. Johnson Road leads directly back to West Palouse River Drive in Moscow, which intersects with Conestoga Drive. The suspect was then allegedly observed by video camera turning north on Bishop Boulevard and northwest on State Route 270. The state has indicated these video surveillance cameras are located at ENS Services, 1300 Johnson Avenue, Pullman, Washington. Same thing. I don't know if it moves the car or anything, though. Yeah, I guess it does. Moves that a little bit. Sorry, I'm not faster with this, but the defendant's vehicle is allegedly observed in or around Washington State University per state's recent documents. And then this will be going to his apartment. So the defendant took a selfie of himself wearing a white button-up shirt, wireless earbuds on his ears, and posing with the thumbs up. I haven't found the court documents clearly stating to whom it was sent and definitively what time, but we'll update when I have the information. And it was, I think, 10:35 in the morning when he took that picture of himself. I don't know if he sent it to anybody. Now, that would be something to know. If he just took it for himself, or if he took it and he sent it. I mean, you know, like, hey, I just got out of the shower. Look at me. I'm looking fresh. Here's a picture. I mean, that might help his case a little. If, you know, he had someone that he could say he sent it to. Now, I don't know. I think he was listening to his song in those earphones. I think he was jamming out to his own music. Or, you know, maybe Britney Spears. We don't know. It says here that defendant's car is allegedly observed by video camera at Costco in Clarkston, Washington, according to state's documents. And I still don't know why he went into that Costco. I mean, if he didn't have his card, like Sam's Club is different than Costco where I live. Anywhere, it's a whole different kind of breed, right? You go into Sam's Club, they're like savages over there. You could just walk in. I mean, I don't even show them my card. If you walk in with confidence, they ain't even going to ask you twice. Like, you just walk in there like you own the place. I just hate getting my card out. I mean, if they want me to, I will. I don't have no problem with that. But it's usually the same guy, and I think he knows who I am at this point. And I say hello, and he says hello, and I just keep trucking it, right? But if you're at Costco, they like make you scan your card, and then they take your card, and then they look at it, and they look at you, and then they second guess, like you're second guessing if you're really who you are before you even get in the door at Costco. You're like, am I this person on this card? So I'm surprised, you know, maybe he was arrogant. Yeah. You scan with your phone at Costco? Yeah. I mean, they be, I don't even know if you do phone here yet. They'd be crazy over there. Are we talking about Gray Hughes? Oh yeah, this ain't Gray Hughes' stuff. Yeah. We've watched a couple of his videos, but yeah, he's not very nice to his subscribers. I don't like people that aren't very nice to their subscribers. Okay. So then at 12:42 p.m., Kohlberger's vehicle, defendant's car, is allegedly observed near the U.S. Chef store in Clarkston, Washington. And this is the next morning when he's, you know, or next afternoon after he's gotten his shower and he's, you know, ready to go and do his errands, run his errands. So then they get him over here at Albertsons. There's the grocery store there. It's allegedly, you know, observed on video surveillance, which I'm sure that they have video surveillance there at Albertsons. It also said they had him on camera inside the store making a purchase and then like leaving the store. So I don't know if we'll know what he purchased. I'm sure that they could pull the video cameras, right? Or like, I don't know how that really works because it doesn't really look on your items that you're scanning. Do you know what I mean? I don't think it does. Like when I go to Target, it seems like it's looking like upward, like at me, like at my face, not like at what I'm scanning. So if we don't have the receipt, maybe we won't. I mean, they didn't catch this guy till 6 weeks later. I don't know how long Albertsons keeps their digital records. Probably longer than that, I would say, because they're a pretty big, you know, food chain. But you never know. They might be like some people just erase everything after 30 days. Who knows? That wouldn't be good, would it? So this is going to close your eyes, I think, because we're going all the way to Loma, Colorado. So we're going to be flying. I hate Google. I can't do the Google Earth half the time. When it like goes down, I can't do that. So this is where his vehicle was seen. The defendant's vehicle is detected by a license plate reader in Loma, Colorado. Does that look like a place where it would have a license plate reader right there? Oh, I guess because they got that little train tracks right there. That probably does it. Maybe they put a license plate reader there because of that. Okay, now we're going all the way to Indiana. So 12:15. So December the 15th, 2022, at 10:42 a.m., he's pulled over in Indiana for tailgating. This is when we see him and his father on right over here. We see them on camera, and we get to hear what his dad sounds like and what his dad has to say about things. I wonder what their conversations were like on the way home. Because I don't know. Their interaction with the officer, like you can't base all their interactions with each other based on the one with the cop because I mean, everyone acts differently when there's cops around, but it just seemed like they weren't on the same page at all. But maybe his dad didn't know anything. Probably didn't know anything. So then it says the defendant is pulled over in Hancock County, Indiana once more for tailgating. So I didn't get you far. No, what road? 70? Yeah, that's why he was on 70. I don't think those, I'm going to stick with, I don't think that those pullovers had anything to do with the FBI, like watching him. I don't think that the FBI would risk like their whole operation on just to see if he has something on his hand, right? Like they could have undercovers follow him into the Thai restaurant. If they want, I mean, if they wanted to look at his hands, right? I don't know. I just don't think that was the case. I just don't. And I also, because 70, everybody be getting pulled over in Indiana on 70. I got pulled over same route. And I think, and I forget what was that for? I don't even remember. It was so long ago. I was, I had got out of it. But the officer even said, like, we pull a lot of people over from different states. So I'm like, oh, because it's a like a drug hub highway, they have a lot of drugs that are on that. I don't really censor myself, but that are on this highway and like a lot of other stuff. So hey, Chris, welcome in. And if I missed anybody coming in, welcome on in. Yeah, it is weird that BK's mother's obsessed with Ted Bundy. And the stuff that she like wrote about the death penalty and like how she was against it. And, it's just kind of, hey, Aries. I know. Not in Ohio, though. Shit. You look up where the riots are happening. Sorry, this is like a side thing. And they ain't happening in Ohio. We chill over here. We just don't want anybody bothering us. That's all. That's all it is. We just don't want anybody bothering us. So then maybe this will put them in Pennsylvania. Yep. Okay. So then 12:16, 2:26 p.m., Kohlberger's vehicle, defendant's vehicle is seen by camera in Albrightsville, Pennsylvania. What is that? That looks kind of weird. What is that? Is that a... Oh, I thought I saw a crosswalk for a second. I was about to laugh really hard. We could probably find one, though, if we looked. Or maybe he was right. No, they do have them. I've seen them. Like, why does this look weird? Like this white stuff. Is that snow? Am I being weird saying that? I don't know when this was like, taken, the picture. No, because then there'd be snow on the trees. There would be no trees. There would be no leaves. What? Okay, someone explain this to me. I heard everyone said to stay inside tomorrow. So I'm just like, okay. I'm not staying in tomorrow. I'm going to get my nails done. Okay, this is just Brian's apartment and then Brian's family home. Okay, at the bottom. So this would be Brian's family home. So he was picked up before he was even like on camera before he was even there. I wonder if their house is... What the heck's that in the yard? I wonder if their house is like blocked off. Okay, so can I not go on the street view at all? Because maybe it's because it's like a gated community. Would that be a reason? Why can't my little guy go down? Well, like all the way over here. Can we go down here? Nope. Okay, I'm confused. Click highlighted street to enter street view. Okay, let's see. I don't see a highlighted street. I just want to see if the house was like black. Like, it doesn't look like it. Like Usually they'll put like an overlay over it where you can't see it. It might be Samantha. I don't know. I'm like, what is that? Hey, Tom. Isn't that weird? Water is wet. Water Rider, you're right. And I like that name. You know what? That makes me want to go to a water park. I want to go to a water park this year. Oh, and I need to start doing that. Get like ordered. Instead of going to the store, because I'll be looking around. I'm just like reading the chat for a second. I think it is going to be okay tomorrow, Aries. I think we'll be okay. I think that they have like a lot of people coming in, and a lot of people are going to be not wanting to mess around with the military. The mom collects gnomes. Okay, that is weird. I'm just going to say it. Gnomes are weird to me. I don't care. But I can't actually, no, they're not. Okay, I'm not going to say they're weird because I like gnomes actually. But having a lot of them in your yard is weird to me. That's weird. You know what I mean? Like an over collection of gnomes. Because I have a Christmas gnome. He's all by himself. He used to have a girlfriend, but the dog chewed her. Thanks, Riley. Okay, so this might make it a little bit easier for you guys. I have it on a like in writing too, to where we don't have to like look at the map. And I'll go through these pretty quick. That way we can get through the other stuff. But so the initial sightings in Moscow, 3:26, vehicle 1 seen driving westbound on Indian Hills Drive. 3:26, headlight seen traveling westbound on Indian Hills Drive. 3:26, vehicle 1 seen traveling westbound on Indian Hills Drive. So these are all like, video cameras that are picking him up. 3:28:56, vehicle 1 traveling westbound on Steiner Avenue, crossing Main Street, continuing westbound on Lauder Avenue. 3:29:02, vehicle 1 seen traveling westbound on Lauder Avenue through Ridge Road intersection. 3:29:04, vehicle 1 continues north of Lauder Avenue, curves towards Taylor Avenue. 3:29:48, vehicle 1 seen traveling westbound on Taylor Avenue past Linda Lane. Surveillance footage located at 1320 Linda Lane. 3:30:22, vehicle 1 seen traveling southbound on King Road, turning east onto Queen Road. 3:30:55, vehicle 1 moves east along the north side of 500 Queen Road, turns south, then west, exits frame, traveling west towards 1122 King Road. 3:31:18, headlights briefly shine on upper exterior of 1127 King Road, indicating a vehicle turning north towards Queen Road. 3:33:01, vehicle 1 travels west on Queen Road, turning north into King Road, headlights seen reflecting on trees west of Taylor Avenue, King or Taylor Avenue intersections. And then 3:35:13, vehicle 1 seen on South Ridge Road, turning onto West Paradise Drive. Vehicle 1 continues westbound on Paradise Drive. 3:38:12, headlights seen northbound on Walenta Drive, behind 119 King Road. 3:38:34, vehicle 1 seen southbound on King Road, turning east on Queen Road. 3:39:07, vehicle 1 moves east along the north side of 500 Queen Road, then south and west, exiting towards victim's residence. 3:39:35, headlights briefly shine on 1127 King Road, indicating another vehicle turn. 3:40:24, vehicle 1 seen traveling west on Queen Road, turning north into King Road. So then at 3:41 a.m., headlights seen traveling south on Walenta Drive, behind 1119 King Road. 3:43, headlights turn into East Paradise Drive from Ridge Road, possible immediate U-turn. 3:45:07, headlights seen traveling north on Walenta Drive, behind the 1119 King Road. 3:47:08, headlights seen traveling south on Walenta Drive, behind 1119 King Road. 3:48, vehicle 1 turns east onto Paradise Drive from Ridge Road, possible immediate U-turn. He's like all over the place. He don't know where he wants to go. I think that he was trying to psych himself up. At 3:50, 27, headlights seen traveling north on Walenta Drive behind 1119 King Road, unless for some reason he had a specific time that he wanted to enter that house. You know what I mean? That other than that, then, and he was just wasting time. But it looks like he was trying to maybe get himself psyched up enough to go ahead and do this murder. I think that I personally am coming to the conclusion that maybe he only went in there to kill one person. Among maybe other things too, amongst other things. And then everybody, he didn't realize, I guess, how close that house was to, they were best friends. Either they were sleeping in the bed together, or I think they might have had their rooms, like their doors open a little bit to where, you could see into each other's rooms. So I don't know. But 3:51:26. So this is headlight seen traveling south on Walenta Drive behind 1119 King Road. 3:52:42, headlight seen traveling south on Walenta Drive behind 1119 King Road. 3:53:36, headlight seen traveling north on Walenta Drive behind 1119 King Road. So then the vehicle, final arrival, vehicle 1 travels south at 3:56:24 a.m. and it turns east onto Queen Road. 3:56:57, vehicle 1 moves east along the north side of 500 Queen Road, then south, then west, exits frame towards victim's residence. 3:57:27, headlights briefly shine on 1127 King Road. Vehicle disappears within 5 seconds. 3:58:23, vehicle 1 travels west on Queen Road, turns north onto King Road. 3:59:04, headlights seen traveling south on Walenta Drive behind 1119 King Road. At 4:14, headlights seen traveling north on Walenta Drive, which is the road behind them, behind 1119 King Road. 4:04:30, vehicle 1 traveling south and east on Lauder Avenue. 4:04:43, vehicle 1 turns eastbound Lauder Avenue onto southbound Ridge Road. 4:04:20, headlights seen traveling north on Walenta Drive behind 1119 King Road. 4:04:56, vehicle 1 travels south on King Road, turns east onto Queen Road. 4:05:31, vehicle 1 pulls into east side parking lot of 500 Queen Road, does the 3-point turn, exits westbound. 4:06:09 a.m., headlights seen reflecting on 1119 King Road as vehicle faces west on Queen Road. 4:06:31, vehicle 1 travels west on Queen Road, performs a U-turn, travels east on Queen Road. 4:07:28, vehicle 1 moves east along the north side of 500 Queen Road, then south, then west, exiting victim's residence. 4:07:47, headlights seen turning north onto Queen Road, last sighting near the crime scene for 13 minutes. So, in my opinion, I think he was just like either building up the courage. Maybe he was building up the courage at first, right? And then he gets to the house. He's like, I'm going to go in at 4 o'clock. So, he's going to go in at 4 a.m. Because at 4 a.m., he's in the area. So maybe he sees the other car, which is the DoorDasher in the area. And he just kind of looks to see where that car is going. Maybe he doesn't know that car is going to the King Road residence, because he probably didn't know that. He wouldn't know their DoorDash order. So that probably surprised him in a way. But with DoorDash, if he was looking from anywhere, right? Any spot, if he had a spot where he could look to see when that car pulled in, he would have seen them jump out of the car pretty quickly because it was a cold night. The headlights would have stayed on, the car would have stayed on, and they probably would have just jumped out of the car, maybe even left the door open, ran up to the house, put the food on the front porch, and then they would have ran back or taken their picture and then ran back to the car, Personally, me, I don't even know if I'd close my door. I might just leave that thing wide on open. But That's just me. Really? You think so, Felicia? I thought that maybe like the first couple of weeks or month or so, but then I changed my mind. Joseph Scott Morgan, Samantha. That's who that is. Oh, you're doing the little emojis. Yeah, I have to make some new ones for you guys this weekend. I made that one, but that one was easy for some reason. It let me just upload it and that was it. But then I tried to do another one. It was like, has to be a ratio of 1:1 or something. I don't know what that means. So I need help with them. Hopefully Vincent's doesn't have anything to do this weekend. So it says here, the fast exit from the area at 4:20. So at 4:47 a.m., headlights are seen turning north into Queen Road. So that's the last sighting near the crime scene. It says for 13 minutes. At 4:47, the vehicle 1 speeds westbound on Queen Road, turning north onto King Road. 4:21:05 a.m., headlights seen traveling south on Walenta Drive behind 1119 King Road. And then in Pullman, Washington, they get them on cameras. I'm just going to go through the times, but these are on the way back to his house. And all of these cameras are pretty much like at the college. But they get him at 5:26:59, 5:25:30, 5:26:20, 5:26:46, 5:28:31, 5:28:44, 5:29:33, 5:29:41, and 5:30:18. So, and then at 9:12 a.m., vehicles 1 seen southbound on Highway 95. And then, the vehicle was at the house. They said earlier in that morning. So for a total of 10 minutes. I don't know what is through here. I was just reading. Okay. On another live, we'll have to go through what the FBI did. But yeah, they did a lot. They did a lot, and they got a lot of footage of his vehicle. So, but it's 24 pages, so we'll go over that another time. But so basically, they were talking about the phone pings, if they were going to be able to do anything in this case. I don't think that they're going to really rely on the phone pings as much as his actual car data. I think that they're going to rely on that, and they're going to rely on the video surveillance. Like, I think they're going to rely heavily on that video surveillance and their expert, witness that's going to say that that's a 2015 white Hyundai Elantra traveling, on camera. Now, when a group of jurors see something like that, if they're getting the cameras close enough in proximity, which it looks like, I've just read off a bunch, to where it's like common sense that it's the same vehicle. You know what I mean? Like, if you don't see that vehicle for 20 seconds, but no other, you know what I mean? But there's no way for another vehicle to pop out. That's the same vehicle. Like, they're going to have to use a lot of common sense in this trial, I feel like. And they're going to have to, they're going to depend a lot on the evidence and the science, I think, too. But this is going to be a pretty entertaining, I think, trial. Either way you see it, if you think Brian's guilty, if you think Brian's innocent, I think everybody's ready to watch the trial and get a decision and maybe get some answers on what's been going on the last 2.5 years, right? We've all been left here to, under the gag order. So we've all been here to just kind of speculate and put our opinions out there and our thoughts and feelings. And some people get their thoughts and feelings from their own mind. They just think of they're just like, oh, boop, and it just pops in. Some people use their, education, like myself. I use my education in criminal justice and applied science, and I use the documents to my advantage. That's what I try to use. But there's people like all over the place that use different things. And I have not seen a mass exodus from creators like I have on this case. I was just watching someone saying they were leaving the platform the other day, and I was just like, well, It's crazy. I'm just reading the chat. I think that he's definitely mentally ill, but I don't think he's that mentally ill that he didn't know right from wrong. You know what I mean? Like, I definitely don't think that. I definitely think that he knows right from wrong. 1,000%. I mean, you're not on your way to get your PhD and not know right from wrong. Now, I don't think he has a lick of common sense. I don't think that he was born with that. That's something that you either got or you don't. And if you don't have it, I feel bad for you, son. I guess that would be like kind of like living in a dream all the time. Yeah, Samantha. I saw like, well, it's mostly people that are like that crapped on this case so much that no one believes them anymore. So they're just like, we're leaving now. And it's like, oh, now you're leaving. No, you get back here. No one's leaving. You just dropped, 1,000 videos on this case and put out a bunch of misinformation. And then they're just like, oh, I'm going to go. Bye. See you later. I'll be back in a year. So I wanted to go over touch DNA because that was the other thing that they're heavily relying on, for this case. But I have to show you this little machine. It's a polymerase chain reaction. I'll have to tell you about it after we go over this document at the end. I think I have a picture of it at the bottom of this anyway. But what is touch DNA? A lot of people don't know what touch DNA is, or, whether it's blood, biologicals, skin cells, what it is. So we're going to go over it together. And I guess Mia's going to go over it too because she just woke up. Touch DNA, also known as trace DNA or contact DNA, refers to the small amounts of DNA that can be transferred to an object or surface through physical contact, such as touching, handling, or brushing against something. It typically consists of skin cells, sweat, or other biological material left behind by a person. This type of DNA is often used in forensic investigations to identify individuals who may have interacted with objects at a crime scene, even without visible biological evidence like blood or saliva. So some key points about touch DNA. Sources: skin cells, oils, or sweat from contact with surfaces like clothing, weapons, doorknobs, or other objects. The collection is often collected using swabs to pick up microscopic biological material from surfaces. Challenges: the amount of DNA is often very small, making it prone to contamination or degradation. It may also be difficult to determine when or how the DNA was deposed. Now, in our case, deposited, I don't know why I said deposited. We know where the sheath and the knife came from. It was from an Amazon purchase. Well, we think. That's what they're telling us. So I don't think that his DNA should have been on that button snap at all. Like, I mean, I'm sorry, but this would have to be, I don't even think there would be like a number for this, that you decided to purchase a K-bar knife, sheath, and sharpener. But once you got it, you decided, nah, I don't like this knife. I'm just going to send it back. But you already touched the sheath, right? Then someone else buys this. That's a murder, right? That's just going to murder kids in Moscow, Idaho. That just happens to be 20 minutes over the border where you just moved. But somebody else did it. It's someone else's DNA. I mean, it's your DNA, but somebody else did it. And they didn't leave any of their DNA on it. Even though you're the PhD student. This person's smarter than you. Whoever did the crimes is smarter than Brian Kohlberger. So how smart is that person then? I don't know. Because Brian Kohlberger's pretty smart, right? I mean, he's a pretty smart guy. He has IQ, 140? So this person just has to be, way better than Brian Koberger, the PhD student in criminology. That's how I think of it. I think he just took off them gloves, them rubber gloves for just 1 minute and touched that sheet or touched that button snap. Maybe he was putting it into the holder. I don't know, but I mean, that's it. I wonder how much he beats himself up at night over that. So applications commonly used in criminal investigations to link subjects to objects or locations, though it doesn't always prove direct involvement, as DNA can be transferred indirectly. It's a secondary transfer, but that's not what this was. So forensic scientists amplify touch DNA using techniques like polymerase chain reaction to generate enough material for analysis. So basically, I was reading up on this earlier because I don't think they had this around when I went to school. It's been some time. But what it does, so I know they didn't. What it does is it creates millions of copies of that DNA segment. So instead of them having this, these like 20 cells or whatever, right? This machine can multiply those by millions. And that way you can have more than one test run on it. Like, how they used to say like, oh, we only have enough for this one test, like, enough DNA. Well, this machine, apparently it can multiply the DNA. That could be kind of scary, if you think about that, though. Someone having the capability to multiply someone's DNA. Yeah. What an idiot. I know. I hope JLR's there to tell him that. I hope he just says it in the courtroom and then he gets kicked out and then it's worth it. But, Oh, it's your birthday week. Well, happy birthday. Oh, big party tomorrow. Oh, it's Saturday night. How old are you, Tom, if you don't mind me asking? That's so exciting. People were out having fun, doing all the things. So this video came out about 3 months ago, and I don't know why they put an old video of Joseph Scott Morgan on here from when he was like teaching. I mean, he has better videos, I'm sure now. He's lost a lot of weight. I knew he did, but I didn't realize how much weight he's really lost. But we're going to see it together. So forensic expert weighs in on the DNA evidence in the Idaho murder case. So let's hear what Joseph Scott Morgan has to say.
Unsealed court filings are giving us a new look.
Before we get started, actually, I have this sweater, but it's brown. This blue one here. Girl, it's an expensive sweater, and it's a heavy sweater.
Look at some of the DNA evidence collected in Idaho, where someone murdered 4 college students.
So Laura Aguirre spoke with a forensic expert who takes a look at what's been found and what this could mean for the suspect in the case.
Yeah, I've thought about this for a long time.
Joseph Morgan is a professor of applied forensics at Jacksonville State University. He's been watching the case of Brian Koberger closely, the man charged with the murders of 4 Idaho college students in their off-campus house in November of 2022. Morgan is paying close attention to the DNA evidence listed in court filings, like a 3-person mixture of unknown DNA taken from one of the victim's fingernail clippings and bloodstains from unknown male sources. However,
they've got him with this, I think.
Morgan believes DNA taken off a bloody knife sheath is key to the case.
They would have had to have searched this microscopically very, very thoroughly. And when they came up with that hit, I'm sure that they were quite amazed.
Court filings show authorities used investigative genetic genealogy, or
I would be if, whoever the smarty was, I'm sure it's in their training, but like to know to go under the buckle, like in between, down in there to get the DNA profile. Somebody got an A on that test.
Or IgG to connect that DNA to extended relatives of Brian Koberger, and that a swab from Koberger himself was found to be a statistical match.
This is probably where the defense is going to make the most hay in this case. They're going to say that this is not accepted, that it's bad practice, those sorts of things.
He's right. Defense lawyers are challenging the use accuracy and legality of the IgG methods used on open source databases, some that don't permit law enforcement use. The crime scene was demolished by the university in 2023.
The authorities there allowed them to tear down this house, which I think is a bad decision.
A judge entered not guilty pleas on Kohberger's behalf, and his trial is set for August. He faces the death penalty if convicted. I'm Laura Aguirre reporting.
Kohberger's defense team is now questioning a lead detective on the case. It all focuses on two pieces of evidence. One, blood found on a handrail in the house, and two, blood found on a glove outside the home. Now, during a hearing back in January, the detective says that investigators didn't pursue any other suspects because they had already ID'd Kohberger as the suspect. The court transcript alludes to the defense believing another unknown male could have been involved in the crime instead of Kohberger.
Stop hitting your mic, lady. I could hear her hitting her mic. But I guess I probably do that too when I have my wireless mic. So when I need to learn how to not do that. You have to like, if I do it and you hear it, just let me know, because I never usually watch my videos back, which I should, you know. I know, I want a birthday party. I know I'm too old for that too. I don't want to go out to the bars. I think that if someone was like, hey, let's go to the bars, I'd probably hide. Yeah. I'd be like, oh, Vincent's, what would I say? I'd have to blame it on Vincent somehow, but I can't say he's sick, then he'd get sick. You can't do that. You can't do any of that. I'd have to say, like, oh, Vincent asked me to hang out with him tonight or something. That's what I'd say. I don't know. They probably wouldn't believe it, but if anyone ever wants to come, like, I always tell my family, if you want to come to me, that's cool. Come on over. Just let me know when you're coming. Don't be sneaking in on me. I don't like when people sneak up on me. Vincent does that. He's been doing that, not like sneaking up. Well, yeah, sneaking up, because sometimes he gets off at 4, sometimes he gets off at 5, and I never know. It's like a surprise, right? Unless I ask him in the morning before work, or like I text him, but usually I don't. But the other day he knocked on the door, and when I hear a door knock, my heart goes in my stomach. And that wasn't it. It was the dogs were barking. So I'm like, oh my God. Because we have like a front gate thing, like a door. Like you can't open the door unless I buzz you in. You know what I mean? So I'm like, who is it? Who is that? But it didn't really bother me. I thought it was Amazon. But it wasn't. It was Vincent. But he did bring in my Stanley Cup that I bought. I got the beautiful color blue. I'll have to show it to you guys. I haven't used it yet. I need another cup. DM, that is true. And if I did that, if I went out, maybe I'd do that. Oh. Well, actually, I was going to show you guys. So look at just let me put the stop camera on there. Let me change the picture. Can you look at my eyes in this picture? I was looking at this the other day and I was laughing so hard. That's a girl that just woke up early in the morning and took a handful of gummies and said, good morning. I thought that was funny though, because I removed myself from the studio, but my eyes look like they're like, I'll try to go sleep. Yeah, it's legal here. Yeah, Felicia. And before that, I was a medical, so it's either that or pain medication. Pain pills are not my friend. I'm not doing it. I don't like them. They make me feel weird. They make me either super tired or super awake or super itchy. And I'm just not ready to be on that yet, you know? The doctors are trying. My doctor actually asked me the other day, what doctor was that? One of my doctors, they wanted me to go to physical therapy. The orthopedic surgeon. She said, so what pain medication are you on? I said, Advil. I said, my good friend Advil at home. I said, I got the big bottle from Sam's Club. Right, Ashley? So I severed our friendship. Oh, DM, when I have to be on a plane. The whole bottle ain't enough. I I just don't like, it's a 4-hour flight, I think, like 4 hours. I could do the first like 2 hours, 3 hours, but after 3 hours, I'm like, man, I'm done. I'm over this flight. Felicia, my friend makes edible like food. She made these crackers. I didn't even know you could make crackers. Right? Okay. We went over to her house and Vincent eats the crackers and so do I. And I thought they tasted like Toll House or something, or like whatever they're called. Like they melted in your freaking mouth. I'm like, these crackers are so good. Then she was like, I got something to show you. And then she showed me. And I'm like, oh, what's in those crackers? And then, so Vincent fell asleep in the living room and me and her did like we were just like playing around. We did one of those, like card things, like I'm trying to think, like psychic readings type of things. Like my friend's very like into that stuff and into like the crystals and all of that. Like she gave me 3 crystals and I've had them for years. Like, I mean, years and years. And she was doing one of these little readings on me. And Vincent woke up at the worst time because he was like listening, but he was like in the chair. So he's listening. And she said something like, what did she say? The person that's in your life now, like, is going to make a difference or something like that. But he heard that all wrong. So the next day, I thought nothing of it, right? So the next day he's like kind of like moping around and I'm like, what is wrong with this guy? Like, what is going on with him? Because he's acting sad and he doesn't act sad. He thought I was going to break up with him. He thought that we did like a reading and the reading said that I was going to break up with him. I said, you need to stop eating them crackers. So I thought that was pretty funny. That was my one and only time getting a little reading. But it was like the reading was really like spot on. It was really sweet. It was like a sweet one. You like crystal? I could see you like crystals and rocks. I could see you finding a lot down where you work. Like, you know what I mean? Down by the creeks and stuff too. Like finding some cool ones. Oh, Felicia was, when he said, are you going to break up with me? I thought someone stabbed me in the heart. I was like, no. I was like, what? Who told you that? This was probably like maybe our 4th year in our relationship. It was probably 4 years in. Hey, Trips. Yeah, like it was like 4 years in. I'm like, what? Dude, I ain't going nowhere. I told him tonight. I said, why y'all dressed up for? He had a collared shirt on, like a little, like a shirt with a collar. And when I say collared, it sounds like I'm saying collared, but collar, like your shirt collar. And he went to pick up food and I was like, are you trying to find another woman? I was just kidding with him. And he smiled. He smiled at me. He's like, no. I'm like, I know. Because I'd beat her up all day. I beat them up, all of them. Samantha, I was going to say something about your books because I saw them in your background. I was going to say you must like to read. I've been reading lately. Trying to read more. Oh, Felicia, he's my yin to my yang. I'm his yin to his, I don't know how to say that, but we are pretty cute though. He doesn't like to do the things I make him do, but I make him do them anyway. Except for swimming. I don't make him swim with me. I think it's because he grew up around the ocean. He doesn't care to swim or something. I don't know. I'm like, it's the pool. Let's go. I think it's going to rain here the next couple of days. And I think that's all I have for you guys. What was this? Oh, I'm like, what is this? Let me see if, okay. Let's see. Sometimes I'll like get off the live and then after the live, I'll end up like, seeing something, but I don't see anything. Oh, I meant to keep that. Oh, well, that's okay. Oh, aspiring writer. Oh, that's so awesome, Samantha. We're not married. No, we just pretend. We just pretend. We're not married. So I have to look into this because I don't know. Okay, so my whole thing was I never was going to get married because my health care is too good. And that's the truth. Like, that's sad to say, but like, if I were to get onto Vincent's healthcare, not even, no, it wouldn't cover nothing. Like, I don't even think that would cover one surgery a year. And sometimes I have one surgery a year, or sometimes I have two. Sometimes I have dual, two at the same time. So I heard that since I'm considered a survivor of the car accident, because I was the passenger, then I have like forever insurance through like the state because of that. And so I'm trying to see if that's true. Because if that's the case, then your girl will get married all day tomorrow. Like we'll be going down to the courthouse Monday. Because, I need to put a ring on his finger. He won't wear the rings I get him. I found those little plastic ones. He didn't like them. I need to get him a better one. So if really, even if you get married, you don't have to get onto his. Man, I have to look into that because man, you guys are making okay. Well, I feel like relationships are almost, I don't know, like they're easier than a marriage because you can leave, but at the same time, you can't. Yeah, I want to get everything in writing. Yeah. I should trips to talk. That's what I want. I want a titanium van. Because I'm never your girl's never been married. And I've never even been engaged. So what's up with this? What's up with this? I'm gonna go out there and ask him right now. He'd be like, oh my God, what happened? No, I'm just kidding. As long as he's here, I really don't care. If we're married or if we have that title of, married, or if we're just like where we are right now. I mean, it's perfect. I know that he's not going anywhere. I'm not going anywhere. If he tries to go anywhere, I have zip ties. Don't worry. Just kidding. I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding. I'm not going to zip tie anybody up. For a wedding day now, he got me a 3. Wow. That's how you do it, Felicia. Did he just say, hey, you want to get married? I'm a feeling that Vincent would do that. That's what I'm afraid of too, Sirius. Yeah, that I would have to, like, you have to include Vincent in all that, right? Because you're like together, like not just together. I mean, we're like together that way anyway. Do you know what I mean? And I need to learn to just not say this, but I guess I say I a lot. And I think it's just because I got used to being an I, even though I've not been an I for 9 years. But when I say I to Vincent, I told him the other day, I'm like, I mean we. Like if I say I mean you are my I. I was like, you're like my Siamese twin. Yeah. Yeah. And I mean, I know. It's just, but someone was saying something about like being a forever survivor and you automatically, since that, like that happened, I don't know. I'm like in this little like bubble of people that get it, no matter if you're married or not. I would have to call. I'm even afraid to call my insurance and ask them because I'm afraid they're gonna be like, oh, she knows somebody. But See, that's what I have, Samantha, is Medicaid. I'm not taking the chance. Yeah. See, we're cool. I'll write up a marriage certificate and have him sign it. I mean, like, I'll make one. I should do that. That would be, I'm going to write that down. I am. I'm going to make one tomorrow. Like, and just like trick him and be like, can you just sign here on this dotted line that I just made and printed off in the other room? I even have really good paper too. I'll frame it and everything. Because I don't have Medicare. I have Medicaid. Like I'm not on Medicaid, Medicare, or something, whatever that is. My dad. Okay, so my dad proposed to my mom. He called her on the phone at work. They were together at this point at least 8 years because I was 8 years old. So, I don't know how long they were together before I was born. I don't think I do know that. Son of a bitch. Is there something I don't know? Anyways, I'll have to call my aunt about that because I don't think I know. My brother would know. We're 9 years apart. That's a good thing about him. But he called my mom on the phone and she was a server and he was like, "Hey, can you get Monday off?" And she asked her manager, she was standing right there. She's like, "Kathy, can I have Monday off?" And Kathy's like, "For what?" And my mom was like, "I don't know. Hold on. Let me see." She's like, "Kenny, like what do you like what's going on Monday? What do you need? What do you need before Monday?" And he's like, "Oh, we're going to go to the courthouse and get married." And she was like, "Okay, sure." So my aunt or my grandmother flew in and helped set up do the whole wedding thing. They did it at the courthouse, but they had like a little party afterwards and they wore Walmart bands or whatever from Kmart. I think it was, I don't think Walmart wasn't a thing at the time. So maybe Kmart or it might've been a jewelry store, but they were cheap bands. Like they were under $100 each, maybe 100 for both of them. And they were happy with just their little wedding bands. And then my dad got her a really nice ring like later on in life, but then she ended up giving the ring to me. I think she just liked her band, So. Oh, yeah. So, Samantha, I hear that people with that, like that have to pay the deductible. If you, and I don't know who you called to figure this out, but my mom, when she had a deductible, she had a $400 spend down or whatever it was called. It was like 400 and some dollars. And she couldn't afford that because she got paid monthly, like 1,200 or 1,400 a month. Not a lot, nothing. I can't even imagine. I mean, I make less than her, so, but we won't get into that. But it was really hard for her. So she was like, I can't pay the 400 some dollars spend down. So what they were doing was giving her, if she went to the counselor and saw her counselor twice in a month, they would pay her spend down for her. So I don't know if you know how to look into that, but they paid that for her. I know. I'm like, man, dang, mom, you might, more money than I did per month. Shoot. She did have to take care of me though too. Like after my car accident, I couldn't work. So my mom did take care of me and I do not know how she did it, but she did. She was an angel. Oh man, see, we should talk about that stuff on my second channel sometime soon. Because I'm starting the process of applying, but I haven't applied yet. It's been hard to apply. I'm listing out doctors right now. And I'm like, we're never going to be done with this. Well, I have too many doctors. Oh, I bet, Felicia. That's the one thing I don't have kids, but dogs and a cat. Oh man. I'm like how do dogs want something all the time? Speaking of which, we got them something. If you haven't been to your local Sam's Club in the last couple days, go there tomorrow. If you have a dog, because they have the big lamb chop toys. You know how like the huge lamb chop toys are like $20, $25? They have them there for $9. They're the big ones with the squeakers in them. Araya has loved the lamb chop toy ever since she was a puppy. She loves to chew the crap out of that toy. She will not chew another toy in this house because she knows that those are Mia's babies in a way. She won't chew them. Lamb chop, it's on. So we got them both one. Because Vincent was going to get one. I'm like, we can't get one. So I ran back and grabbed another one. He's like, I'll come back tomorrow. I'm like, no, we're doing it tonight. You should, Ashley. Yes, for sure. Can a hospital say no to you if you don't have insurance? I don't think they can they? Oh, Samantha, you're blessed to have your mom. My aunt was a director of nursing, and she helped me. Oh, he'll love it then, Felicia. Yeah, go over and get one. They're only $9.99. I was like, what, for that price? She can chew the crap out of it. But we will tell her not to chew Mia's. We'll try. Mia will cry. She is like a big baby. I didn't think they could. Oh, did you? Felicia, I used to watch the show when I was a kid. They can't refuse care, but they can also not do nothing. Man. Oh, gosh. There we go. Ashley. They'll still bill you. Yeah. I mean, Vincent's insurance isn't that great either. So, I mean, it's a great insurance, but compared to mine, I'm like, yours sucks. Everyone sucks compared to mine, I feel like. I'm very fortunate in that aspect, and I don't take that for granted any days of the week. Not everything's covered, as you guys know, dental is one of them. It's just not covered, but everything else other than like some of my medications are covered. So I'm cool with that. But thank you guys for being here tonight. I appreciate y'all. I'll be back on tomorrow night. I'm going to try to figure out how to lighten up this area back here. Like I have a light. There's a tree back there. Y'all can't see it, but there's a tree. And I want you guys to be able to see it. So I'm going to try to get this light to light up better back there, or put a light back there tomorrow. But I will be back on tomorrow evening. I may be on tomorrow during the day. You never know with me. But I do have a video coming out tomorrow at 11:15 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. And it's going to be over the Idaho 4. And it's going to be with the podcast. And it has visuals and all of that. So hopefully you guys will enjoy that video. And yeah, if you're watching on a replay on this video, make sure you drop a comment in this comment section below. Let me know if you like the video, if you hate the video, what you liked about it, what you hated about it. Be nice to me in the comments. But thank you guys so much for being here tonight. I'll be back with you guys tomorrow. Have a wonderful Friday the 13th. We still have 40 more minutes to go. And I think everyone's done no one's had any bad luck yet. So knock on wood. We're good. I'll see you guys all tomorrow. Have a wonderful Saturday if I don't see you. Bye, guys.
Just like the street lights lit this town, like a fire in a blaze, gotta burn it down. Can't be afraid to leave this out.